Hi, this is Ben with Novolux Stereophonic, and today in front of us I have a couple examples of the Sansui 8080. Now this is one of those unique opportunities where I have two of the same exact receiver in the shop at the same time, and I always like to shoot a quick video if I can to compare when I have two things that are able to be compared apples to apples. So what's going on here is I've done a full LED conversion on the top one, and the bottom one has a brand new set of incandescent lamps. So in this video, I'm just going to do a quick comparison of LED versus incandescent, pros and cons, stuff like that. So if that sounds cool, stay tuned. Let's start off with some examples of why you might want to convert to LED. So LED has a lot of benefits. The first one is it has a longer lifespan than incandescent. So an incandescent lamp has a limited amount of hours that it can run before the filament fails and the lamp goes out. So what you'll often get is an incomplete dial where a lamp in the middle is burnt out and then it's not consistent all the way across the dial. Or one of these little lamps in the meter will burn out, so the left one looks full and the right one is only lit from one side. So those are typical failures for incandescent lamps. With LED, the lifespan is very long. A lot of times if these get converted to LED, the LED conversion may outlive you. As long as there's not some sort of sporadic failure, these things can last a very, very long time. So it's nice to just go in there once, get it done, and never have to worry about it again. So if you're buying a restored unit, having it converted to LED is a bonus if you're not tech savvy and you don't think you could replace lamps yourself on occasion. Incandescent lamps also run much hotter than LED. So in the original design like this, what you'll get is the longer the unit is on, the more wear and tear on the plastic parts. So all these lamps are fed into plastic housings, and that heat can make the plastic brittle and eventually crack and fail. So incandescent has heat issues. LEDs also draw far less current than incandescent lamps, so it's easier on the power transformer, and if you have a circuit that uses a DC supply for the lamps, it's much easier on the power supply. So that's just one more reason for LED. Now let's talk about the benefits of incandescent lamps. So the main benefit of incandescent is keeping an original look. So at the time, LED lamps were not available at a affordable price in this specific era, so it was cheaper for the manufacturers to do the big lighting, the dials and stuff with incandescent, and only use LEDs in specific locations such as indicators. So if the technology was there and available and cheap, they probably would have designed these with LED in the first place. But it was just more efficient at the time to use incandescent. So all the materials in here were designed to diffuse incandescent light. So what you'll get is sometimes when you convert to LED, you'll have issues with diffusion, where the light will not propagate through whatever dial filters are there, and you'll get hot spots or blank spots, where if an incandescent lamp is in there, it diffuses nicely and lights the whole thing. Also on these, I have to remove a colored filter from these power meters when converting to LED. The original one has a little green cylinder inside of there that helps diffuse the incandescent light, and that really messes with the color of the LED. It turns it to a really off yellow that's kind of off-putting. So you have issues with diffusion, you have issues with the light, so it drastically changes the color of the receiver. And then the final thing is LEDs are DC devices. They do not work well on AC. They will catch one half of the sinusoidal waveform that comes in and only light on one half cycle. So what you get is 60 hertz flicker on LED, unless it's a specifically designed LED to work, basically a dual LED that works on both phases, or if it's running on a DC supply. So a lot of times if the LEDs aren't properly selected, you will get flicker. And I go over this in detail in a video I have up on specifically doing LED conversions on the 8080. I'll post a link to that in the description if you're interested in further detail. So that's kind of the pros and cons of each, and my personal preference depends on the model. So for the Sansui XOXO series, I almost always go with LED. I really like this cyan light. The dial fill is really nice. I guess this kind of reminds me of the MAC color scheme, which is always very attractive, cyan and silver. Where if we look down at the incandescent, it's more of like an ocean green, and it's very dim. So right now I have the shades open and we have a lot of sun in the room, and on the bottom one we can barely make out the dial and the source and stereo indicators. So what I'm going to do is lower the shades so that we can see what this looks like when we're in a darker environment. So shades are coming down, and we will see that in the dark the LED still looks great, but sometimes it can be a little bit overpoweringly bright, and the incandescent is a really nice, warm, inviting look. Lots of things to think about when you're converting. On a Marantz 2270, for example, I always opt for incandescent. It diffuses much better, it looks more natural, but on the Sansui XOXO, I do prefer the LED. So if you found this interesting, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. I love to get people's perspective on this type of thing so that when I'm restoring units, I can properly select the preference of the majority of people that are interested in buying these to better market them to you. So again, thanks for stopping by the channel, and we will see you next time.